And I think we're rolling. I don't know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we are. All
Yeah.
right, fucking what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to this episode of Lost in the Dark podcast. Aaron and I back in the virtual crypt tonight, and we are here with a mission. We are here to talk one thing and one thing only, and that is the new album. This whole episode is dedicated, thank you, Aaron, to the new album out by Black Dahlia Murder. That is what we're talking about tonight because this is a band that means so much to both Aaron and I. Oh shit!
That's how I feel when I listen to this shit.
Fuck yeah!
Anyway.
Fuck yes. No, this is just a band that means so much to you and I. I know I already did a Dark Reflections on it. I've talked about, but now is really finally your chance on here to talk about it because, in full disclosure, I was into them from long before we met, of course, but you really reignited their flame into me in a big bad way through our friendship, and like you being so into them got me a lot more into them again later on, so I feel like I've already really said a lot about this album, and now you've had the opportunity to take deep dives into it and dissect it, and you were a much bigger fan throughout the first half of the second decade of the 2000s than I was. You followed them closer than I did during that point in time. So I'm very, very excited to hear what you have to say about this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you've said some things already, don't get me wrong, on some other episodes, but now we can take the deep dive into it.
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely gushed over it quite a few times since we've been recording and stuff. But yeah, man, I think because when I first got into them, it was, and I'm pretty sure I saw the video for What a Horrible Night to Have a Curse on Headbangers Ball when it was still on. Like one of the I don't know, this I mean, I don't know how old that album is right now. Probably more than, well, it's 10 or 11 years old at this point.
Was Jossa the host?
No, this was in that weird sort of ending era where it was they just kind of played videos at a certain point, and it wasn't really hosted by anybody. It was just kind of something that they put on from 10 to midnight or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Remember? Yeah, kind of when it was kind of on its way
I
out.
remember. That was on VH1 Classic or some shit too.
Might have been, yeah.
Might have been, yeah.
So yeah, I saw that and I was like, dude, I was blown away by the song ever since.
Wait. The song "What a Horrible Night to Have a Curse"?
Yeah.
Well, that first came out in 2001.
That's the EP. That's their first EP.
Yeah. That's when it first came out.
Yeah, I'm talking about Nocturnal era.
Okay.
2000. I don't remember.
7.
Thank you. So yeah, it was around that time, and then I went back and I picked up Unhallowed and Miasma. But obviously, I mean, Nocturnal, for anybody, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there like me that got into them on that record, and that was the big deal for them and stuff. And then yeah, so kind of ever since then they were one of the first I guess extreme death metal bands I got into. That was when I first found out about the genre and stuff, and just kind of dove a little more into it. And they just happened to be from Michigan, which was that added bonus. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's So I was really into that record. I'm still really into that album. And every one since then, it's almost like an event when they put out a new record, when there's something coming out. It's almost as if it's the biggest, it's just a big deal whenever they release something new. And it's, so to have that still kind of be exciting after all these years, and 9 albums worth of stuff to come out is awesome to me. So I'm very excited to talk about this. I know we've been going back and forth about doing this episode for a little while, and so
That's actually that's something that's a really good point, and that's something I think that carries over to a lot of, not all, but it carries over to a few metal bands when the fan base is so diehard and so rabid that for us as fans, it becomes an event. An album release is an event.
Oh yeah.
For us, for us with Dahlia, Lamb of God, Devil Driver, fucking,
Slipknot.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Iron Maiden, if you want to go that big, Whitechapel, even like the fucking As I Lay Dying, Parkway Drive. Or not As I Lay Dying, not As I Lay Dying, not As I Lay Dying, Die Out as Murder. There we go.
Yeah. Fit for an Autopsy for me.
Fit for an Autopsy, yes. There are so many bands, and that's part of being a metalhead, is that the bands that you are most diehard for, Hatebreed, the bands you are most diehard for, the album release in itself is an event. It's an event that you celebrate. I can't say that, but for me as a metalhead, I like you and Preston are my pretty much only two real like close metalhead friends. So for me as a metalhead, I get these album, like that's like a little celebratory day by myself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an event.
Yeah.
It's an event, but it's one I celebrate alone typically. So that's a thing for us. That's a thing. We almost have these like little mini holidays for ourselves throughout the year as our favorite bands release albums. And that is a very good point. It is an event. That's a really good way to put it. So yes, absolutely. And
and just kind of a added side note, I'm just kind of thinking about it now. I believe this was the first band that I ever actually started like buying all their albums.
Oh wow!
I could be wrong about that. There might have been a few other bands, but this is like the first one that I remember. Like anything they put out, like I'm there, I'm buying it. Like I have a physical copy of it, or like buy it on release day or whatever. Like they're, and like I don't even really have to think about it most times, because I know I know what I'm getting, and I know what I'm getting is nothing short of the best thing that this band is capable of. And so I don't even really, half the time I don't even really think about it. I'm like, oh sick, they put out a new record, I'm like cool, that's I'm gonna buy it. I don't even gotta yeah. So
I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, more so I guess, I can kind of say the same thing with like Lamb of God and with like Slipknot and with, any of these bigger bands that we talked about. Like it's
Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah. They're one of those bands that's like, all right, sick. Like, let me just pre-order that. Let me just buy this or whatever.
Yeah. I don't need to hear 3 songs off it and like all 3 of them to know that I'm probably going to like this album.
Yeah. And I
want the pre-order because I know I love this band.
Yeah. It was this one, the first time in a while that, because I was able to go out and buy Nightbringers day of, and I got the digital the deluxe version of Deflorate when it came out with the DVD, same day it came out and stuff. So yeah, they're really one of those bands that I no matter what, I'm like, all right, cool, new music, like yeah, I'm all about it. So
Yep. That's kind of what I'm fucking saying. Like there are certain bands where it doesn't, like, I'm not even gonna lie. Like we've gotten 2 singles off the new Lamb of God album, right?
3.
Memento Mori, Checkmate.
I can't remember the name of the other one, but
I can't either.
It's my favorite of the 3. It comes up all the time on my YouTube.
Oh shit! Yeah, look that up for me. But in any case, even if I didn't like 2 out of 3 of those songs, I would have still pre-ordered that album.
Yeah,
because I love that band so much, and there's just no hesitation. There's no question I'm going to get a physical copy of everything they put out forever. Like there's just no hesitation in that. You know what I mean? It's just the way we are as fans.
Yeah. New Colossal Hate, by the way, was the name of it.
Fucking A. That was it. Yes.
Yeah, definitely though. And it's cool that at this point we could say that, because there's a lot of stuff that you can't really like, put your finger on and like actually be like, no matter what, I'm gonna like this. Like no matter what, I know that there's something of this I enjoy. Like
there's something that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not even that I don't even know for a fact I'm gonna like the whole thing, but I know there's gonna be shit on it that I enjoy.
Yeah.
No matter what. And I love this band so much, and they have done so much for me that the least I can fucking do is drop $15 on a physical, you know what I mean? On the new album. And I know there's stuff I'm going to love on it. So,
yeah.
And so far I've loved every single. So, it's,
yeah. So
and it was the same with Verminous. I loved every single that they released, and then when you finally get to hear it with Verminous, at least when you get to hear it's in its entirety, is when you can truly begin to appreciate its majesty. The guitar work on this album, in terms of a melodic death metal album, it's almost unheard of outside of a Swedish death metal band.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fucking incredible. And it's not even done in that style. I'm just saying melodic Swedish death metal is really known for their guitar work. Well, guess what? So is this now. So is the Michigan melodic death metal. Like,
yeah. Oh,
holy shit.
Like there was admittedly, I'm talking about singles here and like just things by themselves. I'm glad that they only put out 2 songs and then released the record.
Yeah, same.
Because
I don't like more than 2.
Yeah, anything more than that, I feel like would have been a little much. And to be honest, like I wasn't terribly grabbed immediately by Child of the Night, but once it like we talk about it all the time in the scale of like singles versus like how it feels on the record. That's like one of my favorite songs on it, just because of the verses on it and just like how it's just pissed. It's one of the more pissed songs on the album. I mean, we'll talk about it. So yeah, it's cool and that we can have these kind of talks about like, well, it wasn't my favorite when I first heard it, but now I'm like really into it. Now it kind of changed my whole kind of view on it because I heard it with the skate, like with the rest of the record.
Yes. Yes.
And they're also in speaking with, with being excited about it and with buying, no matter what they put out, is I don't really listen to all of the singles that come out for new bands that I'm excited about. I'll listen to probably 1 or 2 to kind of figure it out. But I like to be surprised by music. I like to be surprised by new bands, new, and especially from artists that I love that I've been, following for a long time. So I didn't really listen to it too much, and even like the lead track Verminous, to kind of kick it off, I didn't really listen to it too much until a week or so before I got the record, because I was like, this is the only thing, because they put it out as a single, and I was like, this is the one thing like that I want to listen to kind of like set me up for the album. So I'm kind of one of those people that like I don't really like to listen to the rest of it even if it's been leaked, because I like to hear it in the scale of like how it all fits with the rest of the record. But Verminous was definitely one of those songs where I was like, I got to get into this, like so.
Yeah. Ratchet roaches.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess to kind of open it up, I guess, did you want to start with anything, or did you just want to kind of go into it?
Honestly, I just want you to start diving in, because I feel like, people that hopefully if you've seen this, you've seen my Dark Reflections episode all about Verminous. That episode was, Like I dug deep into it. I listened to the album twice again today to prepare for this episode, and I did, kind of. I didn't. It's not that I heard new things, but I thought of new words to describe the things I was hearing, which made me really exciting. Like there were some songs that were like they were like I can't remember what song it was for the life of me right now, but it was like it was like the main rhythm of it was kind of dragging, this like dragging feeling, but then like the guitar went into like this fluttering motion, and it was a really awesome thing that I wish I had touched on in the Dark Reflections, using those specific words. But honestly, I feel like I've said most of what I want to say about it. Like it's a fucking absolute masterpiece. It is shoulder to shoulder with Nightbringers, with Nocturnal, with any album, any of the band's previous albums you can throw at it. It's up there with any of them. Some of the my favorite, second favorite, if not my favorite cover art, hands down. Just all in all, a top to bottom journey through a verminous dark underworld, and it genuinely has that effect and takes you on that journey. And I love that it gets released during the year of the rat, which is the same year that Kevin Smith is working on a sequel to Mallrats. Yeah. I love like that little personal connection for me. I love the artwork and how it looks with the river of what appears to be slime. I feel like, if that were me, I know for a fact that would have been influenced by Ghostbusters 2. And there are just all these little things about this album, these little details that I just adore. And I think that there are certain tracks on Nightbringer or on Nightbringers that are some of my all-time favorite Dahlia tracks standalone. Mm-hmm. But as a top to bottom album, I think this is one of the best they have ever done, if not potentially you know what I mean? Outside of the sentimental relationship with the others that I have, just based on a musical standard, it is just, I think I think it's an album that elevates the genre as a whole.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool to have all of that to kind of use as sort of a reference for where they're at, because to me this album, not only for being the 9th record that they've put out, which is insane for a band of this level and for a band that of this style, you really, I mean, there's a few big names that come to mind as far as like ones that have stuck around, but I feel like we're definitely going to be talking about, I mean, Banger even said that they're one of the most important bands of the modern era, which to me, like, as somebody that's been listening to them for a long time, and as a Michigan band and all of that, like it's cool to see them get that kind of recognition and to see them get that kind of, just response from people. Because I feel like they definitely deserve it. And this album really kind of, brings all that together. So having said that, I don't know. Let's just get into it, man.
Go.
I guess, in full, I don't really know how to do album reviews. I don't really know how to do things like that. Cheers. Yes. Hell yeah.
We love you all.
So the first track on it, Verminous, the title track, the one that everybody's probably heard multiple times. Rats and roaches. Yeah, it is and the like one of the things that I kept finding, and something that I kind of picked up on after multiple listens, because the first listen to it, I just wanted to hear the songs. I just wanted to hear the new style. I just wanted to hear, kind of what they're going for. I didn't really pay much attention to the lyrics. I didn't, and keep in mind, like, I was talking about, having all of these either day they're released or shortly thereafter. But this one it was a few weeks since it came out because of all the bullshit that's been happening. It was kind of tough to get a physical copy of it, but eventually I did, and um, I it really kind of changed my whole perspective of the record. I mean, we talk about all the time how important it is to have the actual physical copy of it and stuff. Um, and so to me, like, there's definitely songs on this record that were like straight up like Black Dahlia staples, and this song to me has all the workings of it. Lyrically, it's cool that a few of the songs kind of go back to the same kind of topic of being the Verminous, of being the that's our we are the Verminous, we are the the ugly, like, the villains, the music of the villain. um is what I've heard Trevor say in interviews about, like, this music and of this album, and to have multiple callbacks to that concept, but also have a whole song about it. I really like the line, uh obviously, rats and roaches, things that crawl, bringers of our plague to all, our millions shall be one in cess and filth, the Verminous live on. Like, and just the whole delivery of that line is just, it's very, like, it's, you could tell that it was spoken in a way that is very, like, this is for the fans, like, this is, fan song, this is. And a lot of the songs on it really had that approach to it, especially Sunless Empire. I feel like was definitely a fan song as far as lyrically.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was. I mean, Verminous, like, to kick off, and, like, I mean, I'll probably talk about the drums up and down on this, but man, like, just that opening little roll into, like, the just that groove that goes into it, like the bass drum groove and everything, is just, it's just nasty. Like, it's just cool to kind of hear that kind of open up the album. So yeah, Godless.
Yeah, no, I mean, real quick, you touched on something right there, like, yeah, like you said, Trevor has said in interviews that the Verminous is analogous on this album to metalheads ourselves.
Yeah.
But I do think that the way I paint this album's picture in my mind is it's taking us on a journey through this specific underworld. And we start off in Verminous, but, like, Verminous is like the thematical beating heart throughout the entire album. We take stops off at other things, but we always come back. There are other songs that I feel like are about, essentially, like the fucking I feel like kind of like Sunless Empire bit, but especially, without a doubt, like, if nothing else, Dawn of the Rats, the last track on the album, not to jump ahead, is a direct connection, is another one about, like, I feel like it's a woven journey where the Verminous thematic elements continue throughout, but we take really fantastic side journeys as well.
Yeah. I feel that's something that I feel like they've always kind of done, as far as, like, having a few things that they kind of call back to. There's definitely a few lines in their last couple of records that kind of tie them together, but I feel like this one is kind of the first one that really kind of calls back to a few things lyrically that they don't really do before. Mostly, like, songs, and just, like, I feel it must be in here like 4 or 5 different times in a few different songs. And it's cool that they kind of like they didn't really write a concept record, but they also didn't really write something that's just a collection of songs. Like they wrote something that's it's very, meticulous in how it's, and what connects each of these songs to each other. And I feel like when we were talking about it, I remember like before I even listened to the whole thing, you said that there was a couple that really kind of tied in the idea of, of the, that like unity kind of feel to it, that like, that feeling of, like just being a part of something that's a little bit bigger than yourself and stuff, and kind of, and I definitely picked up on that quite a few times during this. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's cool to kind of see all that.
It was, yeah. I think that is something. Yeah. I mean, shit. Yeah. I love that. I love that is a thing.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that is in there. I love that is something that was consciously decided upon by the songwriters. To have this analogous relationship with the scene itself.
Yeah.
And it is something we've seen before, but it's not something that I think we've seen done in a long time, especially, well, maybe, I mean, done in a while in such purity, such pure fucking passion. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, it just really made it that much more special to me.
Yeah. Well, just and so like bluntly put, like there's no other way to put it than just like this is our, our fans. This is our, and it's cool to kind of see them kind of give recognition to that lyrically.
Absolutely.
So to kind of move on, Godlessly, man, this song specifically, just like I must have listened to it quite a few times back to back, because it's just like it just kind of rips your face off really musically. Probably one of the cooler, like in terms of lyrics, just one of the cooler like visual side of things. I feel like they kind of get into a little bit. It's a little more visual. um I I don't know, it just, let me see. There's that cool like mid section that happens where they kind of like break off and do like a fill into a big guitar solo, and then it comes back into the ending of it, and they kind of like it's probably one of the more straightforward Dahlia songs that's on this. I feel it, and kind of with that, whatever, what is the second song on Nightbringers,
I got it. Hold on one second.
of Spectre and Snake or something like that, of
God and Serpent, of Spectre and Snake.
Yeah. I feel like this kind of was that song for this record, just done a little bit better. I kind of prefer this one to it, but also I feel like, speaking lyrically, Trevor, man, like his delivery on it and stuff is very like, and even like the first line of it, he sounds like Chuck from Death, like that kind of like shrieking kind of like vocal to it, which is cool to me. Like there's a lot of that on it, especially the no heaven, no hell, no here, no now. All God's died.
Love that fucking line, dude.
Yeah.
No heaven, no hell, no here, no now, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah. All Gods died the moment we fell from grace. Like the way that he delivers that line, and then it goes right into the solo, it just kind of hits you. Like it's just, and like honestly, there was moments of this musically that I felt like kind of called back to Nocturnal, because there was like that little the line, or the section where he says, I tried to recollect the golden times I held you in arms so sweet. When I was forced to stab your rotting skull, it tainted my all. The memory festers in me. Like just musically and all of that stuff. Like it reminded me of Death Mask Divine, which is cool, because the chorus of it kind of had that same sort of like I'm kind of defiling the one that I love, but I have a lot of remorse about it, kind of deal. Like that they, you know what I mean? Like they have a lot
Yeah.
of those kind of lyrics to them, and like so it was just kind of cool to have that kind of feel to it. Because I was like, man, that sounds like straight off Nocturnal. Like it was just kind of cool to have that callback to it, but also just, I mean, there's that line, ah, clutching at imbibed straws again, falling right through our hands, like the music of it, and just like how it's kind of like a bridge into the next like verse or whatever. It's just, I don't know, it just hits, and it's just like, fuck yes, like that's just cool. It's just dark to me. Um, so yeah, Godlessly is probably one of my favorite songs on this album, just because it's so straightforward and it's so like, just traditional Dahlia sounding. It's cool.
Fuck yeah.
Um, so yeah, and then I don't know if you want to go song by song or whatever, because I have a lot to kind of talk
I mean,
about.
honestly, we didn't really discuss any kind of format for this one, but like you do it however you want to do it, man. Like I'll interject with anything that I can think of, but like I really feel like I've already said my piece on this one, and I want you to have your time to go off on it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Yeah,
yeah, I'll jump in whenever I got something to say, but fucking just go, man. However you want to do it.
yeah. Okay. Um.
And I didn't go song by song, so if you want to,
No,
that's
nice. All
totally
right.
fine.
Yeah. Well, I guess since we talk about Godless, I guess we'll get into Removal of the Oaken Stake.
Oh,
Which is like I'm. It's one of those when I heard it, I was like, I'm mad I didn't write something like this because it
what did I?
is so it's
What did
so
I?
cleverly written, and it's so like just the way that it all kind of like just the movement of it all, how
And
it
what?
starts.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly, dude. The fucking movement. What did
yeah,
I say the first time I heard it? I was like, this is Iron Maiden if it's death metal.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
got a
exactly.
fucking gallop, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much.
And honestly, like it kind of called back to like their old style of doing stuff like it, because they had a lot of songs that were about like like werewolves, and about like the a lot of like fantasy driven kind of stuff. And this one, man, like
Monsters.
yeah, like I love the lyrics on it. There's so many of like that just kind of like paint a picture in my head. The chorus of it is
Yeah.
is so infectious. Like it's just I can't tell you how many times I've had it stuck in my head since I've heard it.
Yeah.
Like
Me too.
um, I like, and just like how like the variance of it. Because a lot of the chorus repeats itself two or three times, but each time it does it like adds on to it a little bit more as far as lyrically and like musically. Um, and just I don't know, like it paints a really cool picture in your head.
Yeah.
All of the lyrics. I liked, what was it?
I mean, it's just
It's towards the end of or I think the last chorus. Uh, in death I'm bound, nailed to the ground, right through the heart. What you call lower is very real to me. Removal of my breast, the killing oaken stake, where this curse is broken and these yellowed bones regenerate again. When this coffin steams so foul with glowing crimson light, inhuman sweat shall stain the silk, and as death returns to life.
God
Like it's so poetically written, and
damn.
it's so like just the way that it moves with the song is really clever, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is exactly. You just hit it on the head right there. It is poetically written.
Yeah.
Like so well done. Like
It
by
can,
far one of my favorite tracks on that album.
yeah. I just yeah, just how it all flows together like musically. It has a real like, kind of like, up and down sort of feel to it, which is cool. Yeah. And kind of mirroring on the last record, maybe Night Bringers, like the title track of it, possibly. kind of has that same like European kind of sound to it.
I feel like I said something about that. Yeah, like that kind of. Yeah, there definitely is some of that like at the gatesy Swedish melodic feel to it for sure. But you know, you see that's the thing though. That's the thing is you can tell, sure, yeah, that's probably influenced by that, but it definitely also is its own thing. It stands on its own completely. Like it's not, it isn't that. It has its own flavor.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's you can hear the influence, sure, but it makes itself more.
yeah.
Definitely.
And then Child of the Night is the next song. Honestly, and it was the second single that they released prior to the album coming out. Admittedly, I wasn't as big into this one as I was the title track for it for whatever reason. It just had a different feel to it that I didn't really grasp onto or gravitate towards until I heard it with a full record. But it reminds me a lot of there's a song on Ever Black. It's the second. I think it's just the title track. It's Into the Ever Black. It just has the same kind of like, something you can just like, you know, like pound your fist to and like, just kind of like, headbang to and stuff. Like I love the verses on it. I love the line. Let's see. Um, Extinction level anger welling inside the ribs. Greet his royal iron fist to the sick world from the next, in wyvern summoning through boundless chasms of death. Summoning wicked is a breast. Yeah. So sweet as
Yeah.
blood of divines. Yeah. And just the chorus of it has this real like kind of like, sweeping feel to it, which is cool. And I've noticed that they've been doing that a lot more on this record, or not past records, where they just have these moments where like musically it just kind of breaks off and it's just this big like you can just kind of see like the sea of hands and of people just kind of like it's like this big symphony kind of sound to it. So yeah, it's just I really like this one a lot more in the scale of the actual record. I like the vocal effects on the chorus, the incubus succubus kind of stuff. There's this echo to it that has this weird kind of like eerie vibe to it, which is cool. It adds a lot to the sound and to the chorus. Yeah, it's a cool song. I like the middle kind of driving part of the song that goes into the chorus, which eventually gets into the end of the song and kind of goes back into the chorus of it. It's just a cool way to kind of break it up and kind of circle back into the last part of the song. I could definitely see why, more so now than probably anything, why they chose this as the second single, because it's definitely it's one of the more catchy, one of the more like memorable like choruses, I guess, on this one. It has very like distinct kind of like sing along kind of style to it, which is cool. So um yeah, Child of Night.
Yeah. I love that, dude.
Extinction level anger.
Oh.
Like I heard that, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like I
Oh.
feel that. You know what I mean? Like,
So hard.
yeah. And then the next track, "Sunless Empire," which to me, lyrically, I feel like is more of a fan song than probably Verminous is. I really like the line about, let's see.
That's what I'm saying about them continuing that theme, weaving it throughout the album. Go on.
Yeah. He says, kind of talking about how the world of the Verminous is more than your regular world. Like it's more than just just the norm. Let's see, where is it? I can't find it. I'm looking off the actual lyric sheet, so I'm trying to like figure out where it's at. We'd sooner die of ash and cancer, our teeth black from the soot. This kingdom's our excremental answer to the fecal world you've built. Follow this fetid stench into our sunless empire. Only the strong will descend. That's where our anachronistic ways will evade the end of days. The end times below your grave exist our wretched domain to which we weak or to which the weak are our slaves called depraved, sick, and deranged. We're the ones who are sane. Like
Oh my
just
God.
that kind of like talking about like just metal as a whole, just like in general, kind of like what we talk about. It's
Yes.
that, and like even in the chorus, legions, ye foul bearers of disease, in death's devotion we descend. The mold was broken, so I changed the perfect beast, reigning below, down in the dark and pestilent. Like,
Oh my
it's just
God.
it's so cool to have them kind of go back to that and just kind of talk about like, this is we are like, and we're the ugly like, things that society would rather kind of like push off and kind of push away, and it's just kind of like in your face sort of vibe to it. But also the thing that really stuck out to me is the doom like real gigantic solo that's in this
Mm.
song that I continue to just like just marvel over because it's so well written and it's so like perfectly placed in the song that it just you know I like just the way that it flows into it and like how it comes out from like the big like doom section of it, the kind of slower feel, which really kind of hit as a surprise in the center of the song. Musically, I feel like this is like the kind of the one that like really they experimented with the most because it just like there's so much of it that's like there's doom elements of it, there's death metal elements of it, there's the bigger like rock like anthemic elements of it too. Like it's and speaking lyrically again, like it's a fan song. It's a song about how they see the Verminous. They say we are the Verminous in it. Like, you said
Yes, we are
always,
the Verminous.
yeah, changing septic intentions of ours always remaining the same as your pathetic, deluded world is constantly rearranged. We are the Verminous. In hate, abstain, cremating our former selves in a funeral blaze against your grain. Our subterranean realm of decay will sooner die of acid cancer. So, yeah, it just like lyrically, it's so heavy, it's so hard, but it also kind of like
Hard.
something that you can just kind of like, pump your fist to and just, it's cool. And like vocally, the delivery of it is awesome. Like I love how raw it is. I love that there's points of this album where you can hear Trevor's vocals like kind of almost break, like to the point where he's like you can tell he's really like going for it and stuff, and like you can almost hear like the anguish, the emotion in his voice. Sorry, my cat's trying to come in.
Let him in.
um, so yeah, that's cool, and just it's just a sick song. It's cool. It's a little bit out of the ordinary for them because I feel like this is the big like kind of epic of the record. Like there's a lot more songs that have this moment, but I feel like there's like I almost wish that Sunless Empire was the last song on the record
I can see
because
that
of
argument.
yeah, because of just how big it is and just how it just sounds
Yep.
like it's this big epic. So
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
um so yeah, and then I guess to kind of I mean unless you had anything to add to that.
Nope. No. I think you're spot on with that one. It is. I think there is a real argument to be made that it could have been the last track on the record because it is gigantic. It is an epic. It is beautiful. The guitar work is out of this world. It is anthemic. It is cinematic, and it is just it connects directly to the title track. It continues that thematic. It is the next stitch in the woven in thematic element from the entire album.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, go on.
So then we hit the Leather Apron Scorn, which is such a whirlwind of a song because and honestly like it took me a little bit to actually like recognize how gnarly this song actually was because honestly, like it's probably one of my favorites off of, and like because I don't know, I like songs on this album in different ways. You know what I mean? Like I
Okay.
like Verminous because it's the it's the title track, but it's also like really catchy. I like Godlessly because of how like just fierce it is and how like how much of a just kind of like how fast it is and just how how just direct it is. And Sunless Empire with just how just the massiveness of it. But Leather Apron Scorn, man, they just like they have a way of having these few songs in each album that they just kind of break apart, and they just kind of like they don't really write it in the scale of the rest of the record. um there's a few on this one, but this was kind of the first one that you hit, and it's cool that they wrote about Jack the Ripper, because to me that is one of the most brutal stories in history. Like that is
Of
one of
course.
the that's one of the gnarliest stories, and if you don't know anything about it, then definitely it's worth looking into if you're into that kind of the macabre and the crazy shit. I love the just the picture the lyrics painted to me was amazing. um I love that it almost felt like you were kind of put in the shoes of this, like of Jack the Ripper, basically, like just out on the stories. I love the line. It's just before the oh yeah, fought or terrorize these foggy London streets, lock your doors and hide when the gas labs come to life. They're where I'll creep, and then it gets into the bass line of it, and
Oh,
then it
that's
goes
my
into the
favorite.
rest of it. Yeah,
Yep.
like it builds this atmosphere to it, and it feels very like like it kind of makes you like kind of tense up a little bit. I like victimize and ravage lady fair with my knife. They must comply, for she who'd sell her soul, or for she who'd sell her flesh, I'm looming near. A shroud of mania surrounds, becoming stronger with their fear. Their fear terrorizes these foggy London streets. Lock your doors and hide in the darkest alleyways. They're where I'll be. And then it kind of goes back into the verse of it. It just gives you this feeling of like just something kind of like looming over top of you when you're listening to it. You know what I mean? And like I don't know
Lurking,
if you had that same kind of vibe to it when you were listening to it.
lurking evil,
Yeah.
dark, shadowy, lurking evil.
Mhm. I love the chaotic sections of it, because it really, and like I had kind of a hard time when I first heard this song, because there's so many different sections to it that like it's hard to kind of like put in place. It's hard to kind of like place where they should be, and it almost seems like because there's a faster section with a solo and with the drums on it that are just blasting with this like kind of the open hi-hat thing with just the accenting on it. It kind of rattles your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
But just those quicker like grindy sections in it, um just kind of bring it all together. But all like it's cool that they still have these moments on this record, especially like as far into their discography as they are, because I've always really loved these sections. The last one had it, I think, like and I guess like Abysmal kind of had it with Refaced. um I can't really put to mind what, I guess Jars, maybe they kind of had one that was kind of like this. It was kind of
Yeah.
similar to that.
Yeah, that's the same connection I drew as well.
Yeah, it kind of had that same vibe to it, that same like serial killer kind of
Yep.
vibe to it.
Yep. It's the
um
serial killer song of the album. Yeah.
yeah. Ritual had The Raven, which is the Edgar Allan Poe song, but it was also about the kids and all that weird kind of stuff. So yeah, each album kind of has that. I'm glad they stuck to that. How Very Dead. Wow, man. Like this one,
Here we
this
come.
this one, yeah, it kind of it gave me a little bit of a hard time the first time I heard it, honestly, because of um and I guess like the only thing that I can really call back to it is and kind of tie it to is uh there's a song on Nightbringers toward the end of the record. I'll have to look up which song it is.
I got it right in front of me. Is it towards the end, you said?
Yeah.
The lonely deceased, as good as dead, catacomb had to come.
As good as dead. I think it's the song. Yeah, because it it has a very like similar feel to it as far as the verse goes. It's a very like almost I don't want to say power metal feel to it, but it almost has that kind of like, you know, just that very like, you know, recognizable feel to it.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I'm not the biggest fan of the riff, but in terms of the song and in terms of like where it goes with it, I've definitely it's grown on me quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I love the lyrics to it. There's let's see, yeah, just the opening of it, like cardioid artery pierced through now rich or yeah, cardioid artery now pierced. The ritual can begin. Our patient yet alive, but no longer, but not for long. Formalin injection. Indeed, it's overkill. Curiosity has bested me. A void that must be filled. Like, you know, just kind of talking about like just this doctor. You know, this doctor. Like, yeah. Not where's the there's the line.
I forgot this is the doctor song. Yes.
Yeah. With lurid scenes of carnage inflicting both fear and pain. The thing about this doctor, not only am I in, but I'm insane. Out with the old, in with the new, usurped a siege within you, constructs of tissue torn apart to spoil what's next. I don't have the heart. And then it gets back into the verse, and it just like that blasting section of it, like it's like fuck yes, man.
Dude.
Yeah.
That song is yeah. What was he a doctor? Wasn't he? What was the situation in that song? Do you remember? Like the circumstance, like he was a doctor, but it was a specific thing that I can't remember for some reason. I haven't read the lyrics in a couple weeks. Like, I don't know.
I definitely, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I can't really recall kind of back to what the overall like reaching theme of it is.
There was more to it than just an evil doctor.
Yeah.
He was an evil doctor in a situation.
Yeah.
And that really added to it that I don't remember right now. But like, yeah, go on though. Go on.
It's just cool to hear them do that kind of style, that kind of the song about the deranged doctor just performing surgeries on people and just like, you know, just having this real like, you know, it's very aborted. It's very like, you know, like to me, honestly, like the medical stuff is some of the scariest shit to me because it's the most real. Like it's the thing that you can kind of like, you know, reference, and you can kind of like it's the closest thing you can get to like understanding like true like, you know, uncertainty and kind of like pain of that, but also like just having like the thought of having somebody like manipulate you and kind of like without you having their own like, you know, like without you being able to like move and stuff is just like, it's just, I don't know, like it gives you that kind of like, you know, makes your skin kind of like tense.
Heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
No, 100%. And the fact is, like, a lot of what metal bands, like we said, we can't remember the situation around this track in particular, but when a lot of metal bands write about stuff like this, it's based on true events.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily all made up all the time. So, yeah, man. Like this, I think that's part of the reason why it's kind of one of the more touchy subjects, because it's potentially like if you look back through history, it probably happened.
Oh yeah. Well, I like the thing that like I always kind of call back to you know, like different shows I've seen. Like I got the you know, like I get certain images of you know, like Dexter or like Hannibal or like, you know, it's just like these people that just like, you know, or Dr. Arden from American Horror Story.
Not
just
that.
yeah, like I just picture like this song and just like just like that character, like those certain characters, just like you know
Oh,
just like in the room with this person and just kind of like just doing like sadistic kind of shit.
yes, yes, yes. I think Dr. Arden is from season 2 American Horror Story
Yeah,
Asylum. That the best, not just the best season of American Horror Story, but one of the best moments in horror, one of the best seasons of horror anything ever in history, in my opinion. Um, Dr. Arden, such a demonic character. Like, oh, anyway, getting off track.
yeah.
That
Oh, for
is,
sure. Yeah,
you
yeah,
are 100% correct in that. When I first heard this song, I thought of him as well. Put it that way.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. And I actually not to go back on it, but I want to kind of go back to Leather Apron Scorn because there was something that we talked about a few weeks ago, and that was that this song on speaking of Leather Apron Scorn, this song has one of the greatest riffs, one of the heaviest riffs of all time in it. Um, and I love the fact that the song itself starts off with the same kind of riff, but then it like the entire thing is a big variation of that riff, and then eventually it kind of like circles back around and like finishes off with it. But dude, like there's just I love the weird like dissonant chord at the end of it. The last thing that you hear is just like this ugly kind of chord to it. Um, just I don't know, like it just I that's definitely one of the more standout tracks to me. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that with Leather Apron Scorn.
Fuck yeah.
But going back to How Very Dead, I yeah, it's I mean, I'm such a sucker for those kind of songs where it's just like I mean, we had a song on Omen that was it was Retaliation, and it kind of had that same kind of that same kind of vibe to it because I find like I said I find that the idea of like medical horror, I guess, or like the idea of like just like doctors like deranged like twisted kind of stuff like it has a real like unique place in me because it's the one thing that just makes my skin crawl over just anything. And so
Yeah.
to kind of like read these lyrics and stuff, it's like just the fact that they have these songs and the fact that they're still like in that kind of vein of just like this deranged doctor just performing you know surgeries on people and just just being creepy is is cool. So
Fuck yeah. Fuck
um
yeah.
so then the Wereworm's Feast.
Oh,
Wereworm. um there is and there was something I wanted to bring up about this because this song is, let me see.
one of my favorites personally.
Yeah, oh, it sticks out.
Werewolf's feast is grotesque. Oh God. They made up a whole new monster. Basically a graboid.
Yeah, he said there on Genius, but I also watched the interview with him about what some of the lyrics on Verminous were just kind of talking about. He said that it says Trevor said on Twitch that the idea for the lyrics came from imagining instead of turning into a wolf or something cool at night, you become something shitty like a worm that just like eats at people every day and stuff.
Okay, have you seen Tremors?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So you know what a graboid is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. That's what I imagine the
yeah.
werewolf as.
See, I pictured it kind of like the alien, like the big chest burster thing. Just this
But
ugly, like,
bigger?
yeah,
Graboid.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
almost the same. But go on, go on. This track is amazing. Go on.
I like. I wasn't expecting just the movement of it. I wasn't expecting like just how much it all. It's yeah. It's definitely like it's probably as much of a fan song as Sunless Empire as far as like vocally or like lyrically.
Yeah, like the Werewolf's Feast is deceased is like the way they bring together the lyrics in that track are unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I really liked hang on, I'm trying to find this line.
No worries. But yeah, like the werewolf, the hook, the Werewolf's Feast is deceased is, and grotesque as that. Like, oh my god.
Pearlescent maggots dwelling within dead flesh. The werewolf's feast is gluttonous. But working slaves to the rot until the perish were chained. Our daily lives are the pits, but our nights are deranged. It's insane to have drilled through countless brains in attempt to just maintain as we stare the living squarely in the face. Like there's just something about that line that's like, it's like, yeah, like that's just, that is everyday life. Like you just,
it's insane to have drilled through countless brains. That line, I was hoping you were going to bring that up tonight. Because when I was listening to the album earlier, I was like, that line is unbelievable. Like, it's insane to have just like, oh my god, dude, it's pure death metal glory. Like that is an perfectly written and delivered death metal lyric, and it's beautiful to me.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I really like the the chorus of it is cool. It's very visual. It's very wordy, which is cool. I like that a lot. I like when they kind of toss in the tongue twister kind of vocals to it.
Yeah.
And like just how this song just deconstructs towards the end of it, man. Like I'm such a fan of just this whole song. Like it feels like it could definitely be a single to me. Like it feels like it has that catchiness and that accessibility to it.
Absolutely.
But also I feel like it is probably like, I mean we talked about a lot of like fan songs on this, and I feel like this is that line our daily lives are the pits but our nights are deranged. Kind of just talks about how, like to me, at least what I got from that was like the shows, like talking about how like just daily life is just, it just drags on and just, everything like that. But the nights are just, deranged and crazy and stuff. And like, to me, that said like, that was the fan side of it to me. That was like, like the, daily life is the shit, but nights are just crazy and just, all this stuff. And it's just kind of like, it's really like a callback to, just how, crazy shows are, and just like how much you just grind through daily life just to have this thing that you just dwell on, which is the metal, which is the shows and stuff. And so it was just cool to me to just have that kind of, that kind of a style. But what I really wanted to touch on was the end of this fucking song, because holy shit. Like I cannot tell you how many times I have listened back to the end of this just to try to figure out what the hell is going on, because there is like a quick like couple seconds of like what I would consider to be like a drum solo. Like there's a bigger like drum solo at the end of this song where they just kind of like groove with it, which is really cool, because I feel like especially on their last couple albums. Like, I mean, the drums are all over the place, man. But Alan on this one, just it is like that dude is otherworldly.
Unbelievable.
Like
Unbelievable.
yeah, and like I've watched a lot of his his playthrough videos of songs on this album. He's pretty much ever since because his first record was Ever Black, and kind of ever since then he continues to just refine this sound and this, his style and everything, and just how fast some of the songs on this are, and there's fills and there are things towards the end of this and in that solo section and I'm like, what? Like that doesn't even make sense that you can like hit that many at the same time and that you can like, just how quick some of the rolls are, but just how much of it just like, it's you don't really hear like, and I'm not sure if it was intentionally made to be a drum solo, I guess. But it, like, to me, that's kind of what it feels like. But it also, I don't know, like it fills it out so awesome, and it's cool to hear towards the end of this song just kind of like melt apart and just kind of like deconstruct a little bit, which is cool. So it's definitely one of my favorites on it.
Absolutely.
And I really hope that they make this into either into a single or into something else. So they do a video for it because it is one of the catchiest songs on the album.
Oh yeah.
So then I don't know. I guess unless you had anything to add to that one, I guess we'll kind of keep going.
Nope. Go.
Yeah. A Womb in a Dark Chrysalis is the shorter kind of burner interlude on it, instrumental song.
Short interlude instrumental track.
Let me see. I'm gonna look something up for this because when I heard this, I instantly thought of Dissection. Because let me see.
Interesting.
And I know you've made the Metallica comparison, which
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, which is
It's
something
just,
that I never really thought of.
It's just I haven't really heard a lot of Dissection. So maybe if I have, I would have drawn that comparison. But there were some parts, some guitar elements that reminded me of the Orion interlude track on Master of Puppets.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see that. That's a fair comparison to it. I haven't really heard that in quite a minute.
But and like I said, like I haven't heard a lot of Dissection, but I've listened to Master of Puppets so many times that the laser in my CD player burned scratches in the CD to the point where I had to buy another copy. So I know that album like no other.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had a few of those. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
No, yeah, go ahead. And so that's it is really awesome to me though, at the same time, that a fucking death metal, a melodic, especially American, like when you really put it in perspective, like an American melodic death metal band puts in a track on their ninth Eminal. Eminal? What the fuck was that? I'm sorry. On their ninth album, which, in my opinion, this is where it came from, is proving to be one of their seminal albums. Like, honestly, it is, maybe I'm using that word wrong. I don't fucking know, but it's fucking epic, and it's beautiful, and it's gorgeous, and it's weaving, and it's thematic, cinematic, all the things that you want from a melodic death metal album, and it's done, right here. And this track really kind of, I feel like, exemplifies all of that. So,
Which one are you talking about?
The one we were just talking about.
Oh, Where Worms Feast?
No, I'm just saying, like, it exemplifies the thematic, cinematic elements of this album, and it almost like you don't hear very many melodic death metal albums, let alone American melodic death metal albums to put in a instrumental that does what this one does.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it shows, like it kind of makes a little bit of a statement. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's like there are, kind of talking about a few of the songs that kind of stand out, and a few of the ones that are a little bit different than the rest of them. They just kind of give a different feel to it. Like the overall like reaching feel of this record is very like underground, very like just like it's polished, but it's very raw sounding as far as like musically, as far as like just how the instruments all like it's all very like the whole feel of it has a real like just something that just kind of like it sticks with you really. And kind of going into Dawn of Rats, which is the last track on the album, the last official. I know that there was 2 bonus tracks that came out with it. I haven't heard it, but I guess
I haven't either.
Yeah, in the scale of the original 10 tracks of the record, it's there's definitely moments of it that really just kind of like just like crawl into your skin, you know what I mean? That just kind of that just give you that feeling of just just like uneasy, that kind of like that just stuff that just kind of makes you like twitch and just kind of like
Uncomfortable and dread.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like that weird like overreaching kind of feel to it. Dawn of Rats is really cool. It's the song on the album that I'll admit I wasn't crazy about when I first heard it. I know we talked about it. I think musically it's I like what's happening. I'm not the biggest fan of the chorus on it. Like I feel like it could have. What's up?
Can you read it back to me real quick?
As far as like the lyrics of it.
The hook, yeah. Give me the chorus of that one.
Let's see.
I'm really interested.
When the silken robes of sodomy fell vacant at your feet, did your God he cough into his sleeve? The guilt, how it hangs like chains, an albatross of shame, smell the reek of lie, the dawn at which you'll die has come today. All right, that's going into the second verse of it. Did he toast with you your innocence, so fleeting and so sweet? The dawn has come of your defeat. We the rats must have our feast. Verminous legions attack.
There it is.
Frenzy.
Yeah.
The unsacred flesh we gorge at the raped one's behest. Leave nary a bone unpicked. When the silken robes of sodomy fell vacant at your feet, is your God he cough into his sleeve? Did he toast with you to their emptiness, the innocent, so fleeting and so sweet? The dawn has come of your defeat. We the rats must have our feast.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It took me a few listens through to really get and to really appreciate this song, but dude, when it kind of I really like the line these walls don't talk, but we hear most everything. When your hands covered their mouths, your ecstasy, their stifled screams. No truth so fucking vile as the one you must face. When the silken robes, so that kind of goes back into the chorus. But also like, it goes through the entire song, and then the last note of the record is one of the most haunting, most like, I don't know what other word to describe it other than just this scratching, like gnawing sound in your ears. And I wanted to bring this up because I'm shocked that you didn't know what it was from, what the sample was from.
I did not.
Yeah, it's straight up from Dracula. It's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Children of the Night, what music they make. It's that line, and then it's just the sound of distorted guitars, and then rats just like it. What it sounds like is just rats just eating away at this, And like as soon as the record wrapped for the first time, as soon as I was listening to it, I was like, dude, I don't know what that was, but first of all, I hate it because all like it just has this feeling of like God, just get this out of me, like you know what I'm saying? Like it's that feeling of like something just behind your head or like you know just like
Yes.
crawling into you and stuff. And then like the coolest part of it all was when that song ends and then when you like if you have the record on repeat, that sound comes back in. It's a little bit different, but it's kind of like the sound of the sewer, and then it comes back in and it repeats the record.
On the first track.
Yeah. And to me, like I just like all like the only thoughts that I had towards the end of the album was like I got to hear this again. Like I just want to hear this again. I want to hear more of it. I want to hear like I don't you know it's just I feel like there are just songs that are just like you know stuck in my head and it's just like and that's kind of really when the title Verminous kind of like made sense to me once I hit the last song once I hit the last because it was you know it just it's when once you hit that last song, once you kind of like wrap the record up and kind of like you know either go into listening to it again or go into like you know a few of the other songs on it, like it's the feeling of like this sound this record it has a way of just making you remember it and it just has a way of like just like crawling in your ears, you know what I mean, just having like just things that are stuck with you, you know, and just like I love that sample of the rats at the end of the song because it's very much like, you know, it's how you feel once it's finished. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it has this like this quality to it that's like like you know like kind of what we talked about. Like it just makes you like scratch and like you know just want to hear more of it, but at the same time it's like you know, it's catchy and addictive, and it just I don't know, like it really kind of cycles the whole record over for me, and I love it. So, so yeah, that's
Fuck yeah, man.
in sort of a nutshell, that's kind of my review of it. And I'll say kind of going back into it, it definitely made me go back to Nightbringers and it made me kind of appreciate that record a little bit more. Because admittedly, it wasn't like I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a step in a very different direction for them because Nightbringers was the first album without Ryan Knight on it. This is the second one with dude, I'm blanking on his name. Brandon Ellis, their guitar player, their new guitar player, is the second one with him on it. Nightbringers, I felt like was definitely it was a step in a very different direction from them. It was still Dahlia, but it was a very like they were doing things that I feel like they've been trying to do for a long time that they just didn't really have the you know the abilities for like the you know the just the ideas to kind of put it all together. So when Nightbringers came out, I liked it. I was into it. And it definitely holds very sentimental place to me because when they were recording that, they you know that was around the time when Trevor came and did our All Hail his spot for that, and we got to hear a little
With
bit of
Bog Wraith?
Yeah. So Nightbringers will always have that spot for me because it's very like I just have these memories with it, and like I was super just fortunate to be able to see it live twice all the way through, and just to kind of like have that whole experience and stuff. So it definitely when it came out, I wasn't crazy about it, but by the time it was all like it was the big thing, like I was you know, and this album really kind of brought me back to that, and more so, you know, it made me kind of recognize sort of what they were going for on Nightbringers, what they were kind of alluding to, what they, you know, because it was definitely different. Like there was a lot of songs on it that like musically were just you know were just a little bit you know they weren't quite as like straightforward death metal as I expected. There was a lot of like rock influence. There was a lot of like, you know, that sort of like just the big riffing in it, which was took me a long time to appreciate. But especially with this record, like had Nightbringers not happened and had Ryan Knight still have been with them, I feel like this would have been a very different record. And I feel like all of the changes and everything that's happened since then, um, made this a very standout record. And to me, it made me appreciate, like I said, Nightbringers a little bit more, because had that not happened and had they not taken so many just changes and so many different, like, well, let's try to write a song with more of a rock chorus to it, you know, like I think As Good as Dead on the last record had that, you know, counting the days that you know, handcuffed to the bed kind of, you know, that kind of chorus to it, which to me, when it first hit my ear, I was like, what? Like, what is, you know, it's not as like, you know, it's not like the Black Dahlia like in your face chorus that I thought it was. But then, you know, so I kind of struggle with just certain elements of it, and then, you know, it really kind of took me hearing Verminous, and then kind of going back to that record and kind of reading through the lyrics and being like, fuck, like this is, you know, this is like a precursor to Verminous. Like this is, you know, it makes so much sense what they were doing, because now they, like, you know, just they have so much just leeway with what they're able to do, and just like with the chances they were able to take on Verminous. And I don't know, I'm very I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I'm so hooked on it, and it just, I don't know, I can't talk enough about it. Honestly.
So I guess one final question then, amongst the 9 albums, where would you rank it if you had to? Right now. Granted, leave it open-ended. Leave it for the possibility of change in the future.
Mhm.
Maybe the overall feeling of the album to you evolves or something like that. But right now, as it stands, where would you rank it amongst Dahlia albums?
I'll say, because I'll say so night or Nocturnal will always be my favorite, just by default. Um, just because of where it falls, what it means to me. Um, and also with that, for the same reason, Ritual is probably a close second, if not tied for first. Just because of it had that same effect on me when it came out. I love it to this day. But this one, I want to say it's it's tied for second, and it's a close, like it's there's I had this like three-way and not like, and I'm sure you can tell by how I'm talking about it, how I don't want to make this.
You know, and that's
How I
I'm
don't want
kind
to
of,
make this. Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to give you an out by, like, maybe it'll change in the future,
Right.
or, you know, just how you feel about it right now at the moment. This is not set in stone. This
Yeah.
is just like having Divin is dove as deep as you dove into it. I said Divin recently. Um, you know, right now, where does it stand with you?
It's, well, as it stands right now, it is, if not the album, one of the albums of the year for me,
Without question,
without
for me as
question.
well. Without
Yeah.
question.
Uh,
Top 3, and I haven't even heard the other ones that might replace it yet.
yeah, that's kind of thing. Like, I don't really know what could really touch it, but um, it's in in a three-way tie between, and I because that's even doing it a disservice, because I can't really say that. um, I'll say of the last like 3 or 4 records that they put out, this one is my favorite of the new era. This is the album that like if somebody were to ask me what does Black Dahlia Murder sound like, I would tell them listen to Verminous, because it is as close to their signature sound as it is, but it is also, you know, it is just a staple for extreme music in 2020. But within just their discography, man, like I want to say,
you know what? You don't have to if you don't want to. I couldn't have said that right there, what you just said, better myself. Like that right there, what you just said. If you don't want to, you can go farther if you want. But if you don't want to, that was fucking perfect, bro.
I'll say it's a three-way tie between if that even makes any sense.
It does.
It's a three-way tie between Nocturnal, Ritual, and Verminous for my 3 favorite records from them.
I'm not even gonna lie. I'm close to the exact same as you. Yeah. I'm one album off from the same as you.
And it's hard, man, because in the past like few weeks I've really been digging into Everblack, really been digging back into Abysmal. And like the thing about their records and the thing about their overall like track record is I like all of their albums for different reasons. Like I might like, you know, Verminous because it's the most recent one, and it's because it's the most defined and polished you know, version of their sound. But I would say, you know, definitely Nocturnal and Ritual are my favorite records overall for nostalgia's sake. But I would also say that Unhallowed and Miasma are 2 of my favorite, like, you know, either like debut records or like, you know, sophomore albums ever, like, because they like there's something to be said about the rawness of their first 2 records, of their first, you know, even up to Nocturnal. That was a very raw sounding album to a certain degree. And this one had elements of that. Like I said, you know, there were songs on it that reminded me of, you know, songs on Nocturnal or different things, but it's so hard for me to place any of their albums above any of the other ones because I like them all for various different reasons and very different reasons.
Very fair. Very fair.
I like Deflorate because it was the record that came after Nocturnal, but it was also the one that was it was the first record with Ryan Knight, and it has somewhat, and that was the first tour that I ever saw them on, was the tour for Deflorate. And those songs stick with me. Like I love Deflorate. And then Ritual came out, and I saw him on that tour too. I saw him Devil's Night, the Ritual tour. Like, you know, it was, you know, just to have that memory with me. And then, you know, I saw him a couple of times on the you know, the Nightbringers tour, where they played the whole album all the way through. Like they've never strayed away from the reason that I'm into them, and they've always given me a reason to kind of come back and to enjoy what they're doing. So like to be able to say like, oh well, Ritual is my favorite, but also like I love Unhallowed and I love, you know, all the rest of it. It's like, you know, I could say that about any of them. Like Abysmal's not my favorite record, but some of the songs on it are my favorites they've ever written. So it's hard. It's like there's other bands that are like that too, but I really feel like, you know, they've cemented such a different place in heavy music and from a fan base perspective, from a sound standpoint, from just everything. Like they've found a way to take a sound that is so recognizable and continue to define it and continue to, you know, just take everything that they've put into you know, the last few records and just defining their sound and put it into this album. And that's really what this is. So to me, it's like, you know, I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know where to tell you because I love all the records. Like it's and like I can't even really say that with bands like Slipknot, with bands like Lamb of God, because they have slight missteps, like they have slight albums that I'm like I wasn't really a fan of that one, but
They just don't connect to you as much.
yeah, and like I don't know, like I just like I said, I could
Dahlia is
talk.
different.
Yeah, and they were the first band that I found out about, all the merch stuff, all of the the fan base stuff, all of the traditional, extreme death metal stuff. Like they were the first band that really like cemented in me that like there was this whole other side of extreme music that was out there. It was around the same time when I got into, not only Lamb of God and Death Clock more, but bands like Despised Icon and Psychroptic and you know just a lot of the bigger like death metal bands, and like Cannibal Corpse definitely around that time, and knowing that they toured with them in the past. And so just they were definitely one of the first bands that kind of got me into this sound. And so I feel like I'm kind of biased when I talk about them because of
Goddamn
that.
right.
But I
Nothing wrong
also,
with it.
yeah, I just they're if I wouldn't have gotten into Nocturnal, if I wouldn't have dug into it, if I wouldn't have seen that video all them years ago, like I just, it's hard to say where I definitely wouldn't be sitting here. I don't feel like I'd be as into it as I am. So, so yeah,
Absolutely.
to
Fuck
that,
yeah, man.
that is my take on this.
There it is. There it is, everyone. Verminous. Look at that artwork.
Yeah.
Unfucking believable. Fucking gorgeous. Oh my god.
So
Still, like the river of slime from Ghostbusters. It's the year of the rat. And we are the Verminous, everyone. So, I mean, I guess you want to wrap this one up then?
yeah.
All right, then.
Fucker.
That is it. That is it for this one, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. That is Aaron's take on this. I mean, in my opinion, like, it's just like maybe I don't know if I'm using this word wrong or not, but I feel like it's like a seminal album for this band, for me, at least as a fan. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's stunningly gorgeous in every aspect. I love it so much. And you know what? To hear it, I don't know what the next episode will be about, but to start off the next episode, you and I are going to listen to the bonus tracks because neither of us have heard them yet. And we'll listen to those and we'll talk about those to start off the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
So that is coming up. Very excited about that now because I didn't even know there were bonus tracks. So
I
fuck
guess,
yes.
yeah. Just kind of the last thing. Shit. Oh yeah. I remember. There's two bands that I can think of that have really kind of sort of paved the way for current heavier music, for current extreme metal. They are like, Dahlia is definitely one of those bands, but also I feel like we talked about it a little bit, but to have this be the 9th record in like I don't know how many years, close to 20 years, and to still be excited about it and to still have them pushing out stuff and just without question like picking it up. There's very few bands that I can say that have that effect. And up until recently, it's been Cannibal Corpse and Cattle Decapitation and all these bands that are kind of paving the way in this new kind of style and stuff. And so just the fact that they were able to put this record out, and like it is, it shows to me that it's a culmination of what it really means and what it takes to kind of put a record together that really encapsulates everything over, the course of a band's career. And like the only thing that I really walked away from feeling was just inspired. I feel very, because I mean, we talk about it all the time, with the Amon Amarth, that documentary we were watching. Like it took them 10 years to put out, their defining records. They're still putting out defining records. And to me, I feel like it's like this it's cool to have a physical copy of this and to have it, because it's something that just like it fuels me. You know what I mean? Like you just get these things and it just like, you have it, and it's a picture of what's possible when you just keep going, and when you just you stay on that path. And it's just cool to see after all these years of them just being able to just put this out and just have it be, as exciting as Nocturnal was when I first heard it, because there's a lot of bands you can't really say that about that happened in 2007 or whatever else, so
Absolutely.
yeah, I guess that's kind of my last thing about it. I just can't talk enough about it, man. Like,
all right. Dude, that was fun. I could not. I not only agree and feel everything you just said. I couldn't have said it better myself. That was absolutely fucking fantastic. So yeah, I guess let's wrap this one up, and then we'll save whatever else we got for when we come back and talk about the bonus tracks. So yeah, I guess that's it for this one, everyone. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Lost in the Dark podcast. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed doing it. Be sure to follow Bog Wraith, Recorruptor, A Suffocating Revenge, A Suffocating Lie and a Fitting Revenge. I fucked him up. See what I just did? A Suffocating Lie and a Fitting Revenge. Recorruptor and Bog Wraith, all on Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Everything. Support the music you love now more than ever. It's more important now more than ever. Right there. Get physical copies, all of the above. And like we said on the last episode, if you purchase a physical copy Bog Wraith album off of Bandcamp, and then immediately after purchasing that, you comment on one of the most recent Lost in the Dark podcast posts on Facebook or Instagram, we will reach out to you. We will find out who you want it signed by, and you will get it signed right there. Aaron's holding up a copy of Titan right there.
This is Omen.
Right, Omen. Sorry, I was like, wait, I said that wrong. Omen.
And then, as always,
Rico Blood Moon.
I fucking love this artwork.
Beautiful.
This album is gnarly.
Recorruptor, Blood Moon.
Support what you love, man. Gotta support it.
Support what you love. Support the local bands that you love. It all starts with you.
Yeah.
And so did Dahlia. Dahlia started with the fans, and they would not disagree. We've seen countless interviews. They agree. So, and we are the fans. So it all starts with us. Support the things that you love. That's what this podcast is all about. We love heavy metal, so that's what it's all about. Verminous. What?
We are the Verminous.
We are the fucking Verminous. Hold that shit up one more time for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Get this shit, man.
Fucking glory. Fucking glory. So beautiful.
Just a work of art. Like
absolute work of art.
All in all, just man, like
unbelievable.
It was beautiful. Like
stunning.
It is the reason. It is the background on my phone. It is the background on my computer. I bought a shirt with this design on it. I love this record. Buy this shit.
Buy this shit, people.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So we hope that you enjoyed this record as much as we did. We're going to talk about it more again in the future, but for now, that's it from us for this episode of Lost in the Dark podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I cannot thank you enough. Oh, look at the kitty. Look at the kitty. Who's got your belly? Who's got your belly?
She'll
Oh,
leave me home.
hell yes, dude. Metal cats forever. Thank you all so much for watching. Raise your fucking horns. Bang your goddamn heads. Here we go. Bang your fucking heads. We love you all to death. And we cannot thank you enough for watching. Good night.